programming it for this beautiful audience.
Mutually beneficial. Let's call it that then. So there's a lot to unpack in this movie, and I'm sure we'll delve into some of the more esoteric ideas and the politics and all that. Just to kick it off, though, I mean, I want to explore a little bit. I'm always fascinated with movies that have a predominantly child cast. Like, not only what was the process of casting, but like, how did you work with them? Because I mean, these kids were great in this movie. So maybe you could expound on that a little bit for us.
Thank you. Children are a gift. You know, they tell you don't work with children or animals.
Right.
And I don't necessarily follow that ethos at all. I had been observing kids as I was writing this for a while, and I kind of realized that this film should not, I mean, I wanted to see real kids in this, and therefore I needed to find a way to have the kids bring themselves into the film. I went through a very rigorous casting process, very wide. I wanted the film to represent every facet of Lebanese society, from every school, every class. This was part because that's the schooling I had, and I wanted to reflect it. 700 students at different schools we saw. From that, we came down to 150. 150 came in, and then we went down to 30 who I thought had potentials. There were several Wissams, several Joannas. And then I kind of created this workshop that I've been thinking about for years. And that is not really a workshop. It's hanging out.
Yeah.
It's watching movies together. Primarily,
Yeah.
that was the most important function, is watching movies together. And I had them watch like My Life as a Zucchini, or Les Enfants, The Goonies,
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, a short film that I made, and anything else that they loved. And I didn't tell them what I thought of these films. I had them tell me what they thought of these films and what they thought of the actors in these films.
Yeah.
And I used that as I made them create their own bar for performing. Midway through that, about 3 weeks after this, and we hung out, and then they became all friends, and whoever didn't end up in a speaking role ended up in the classroom. So at that point, the chemistry was formed between them.
Sure.
And this is what you kind of sense in the film, is that they all know each other already, and this was very important for me. And I didn't want to come across as this like director telling them what to do. So really, most of the time when I was directing them, I was sitting on the floor, having them look down at me. I had to give up my secrets so they can give me their secrets. And then when we started doing scene work after we signed the roles, most of it was rewritten. It was not rewritten. I knew what I wanted. They understood what I wanted because we had discussed a lot of films and a lot of. So they had, by that point, achieved a confidence in telling me what they think. And then we really rebuilt a lot of that as to how they themselves reacted to each other. And it wrote this. Most of the kids' scenes were rewritten with them.
It's interesting that you bring up My Life as a Zucchini, because I feel like this has some of that same thing where
the emotional landscape.
Yeah, where it's not child unfriendly. You could have a child watch this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the politics of 40 years ago would be, you'd have to talk to them a little bit about context, but kids aren't dumb.
Oh no.
And I think that that's a really strong point of this movie, is that it juxtaposes very adult problems, and the kids have their problems that are just as serious. And it doesn't belittle that, that first love and best friends betraying each other or whatever. All those things are real,
Very much so. And in watching the kids, when I was doing everything that I was doing before I even got to shooting the film, I realized that the kids' world is complete in and of itself.
Sure.
And I needed to respect that. And I observed it even in my nieces and nephews. Like if they didn't know that there was an adult in the room, the way they addressed each other was brutally honest. Even if it's good or bad or whatever it is,
Sure.
Setting that aside, kids are brutally honest with each other, and they speak to each other like equals, and their world is complete. The moment an adult enters the room, you really feel a total shift in kids, and then they become kids. They become what we perceive as kids.
Right.
And what was very important for me in this film is that whenever I'm with the kids, it's their world.
Sure.
It's not a world perceived through me, the adult director Oualid's eyes. And to do that, I had to listen to them.
Sure.
And I had to trust them, and they had to trust me back. And I changed scenes that I had planned as we were shooting, based on because I empowered them to come tell me, Oualid, we wouldn't do this like this.
That's great.
So, yeah.
I guess also to continue with the casting process, how did Nadine end up getting? So I mean, she's a prolific artist in her own right, not just as an actor, but as a filmmaker
as well.
So yeah, how did that come to be?
Nadine is a peer, so we knew each other kind of. We were social acquaintances. We kind of ran the same circles in Lebanon. I shared the script with her back in 2013, at the end of 2013, and she read it and she loved it back then. I was still financing, we weren't sure what we were going to do, you know. She went on and did Howautobiographical and then did another movie. And then when this came to be, she was editing Kafarnaum. Just so you know, guys, a little bit of context, Nadine Labaki is a really, really incredible filmmaker from Lebanon. She's made 3 incredible films. The last one, Kafarnaum, was nominated for the Academy Award in 2019. And she's an incredible, as we see here, she's an incredible actor. And anyway, she's like, Oualid, I knew she was in the thick of it. And I wasn't sure it was going to work out, and I think the stars aligned. I gave her my date. She's like, oh my God, this is my vacation date. I can't give you my full vacation, I'll give you half of it.
Sure.
Not less than half even.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, I'll work with that.
Yeah.
And then there you have it. She was incredibly generous, and she's like, Oualid, with you, I'm just an actor, and she was a delight to work with.
That's awesome. Where are you located now? Because I know your background a little bit. You graduated from FSU.
Correct.
How did you transition from Lebanon to here, and where are you now? How does that?
I live in Los Angeles. I've called Los Angeles home for 25 years.
Okay.
Really, I've built a career as a producer, primarily in the music video space, as well as the documentary space, some features. And my producing, though, skews very creative producing, not just like financial producing. Okay. And I knew, like, at one point I was going to start directing, but when I was ready and when I felt I had it. And then I wrote this film, which used to be a short story, and then I felt it was necessary. I felt I wanted to make something that comes from inside as a first feature, as a director.
Sure.
And then I started going back to Lebanon, and I wrote this film, which is based on my last day of school in Lebanon in 1982. This is lifted from my memory.
Okay, I was wondering how autobiographical it was.
The kid's story is very, very autobiographical. The adult story is mediated because I was trying to interpret the adult world through my eyes as a child, as a kid at the time, because those polemics existed and I didn't understand them fully. And I felt, in the same sense that I didn't understand them fully when I was a kid, but I understood the intensity of these differences through the reactions and all of that. And I felt I wanted to represent that. And I realized as I was doing so that that's very universal, as a matter of fact, because in every society, like, parents don't tell their kids about the political inclinations, but the kids sense them. Sure. And we perceive them as kids. And I felt it was very important to show this.
Cool. Well, how about I open it up to the audience for a few questions? Does anybody out there have anything? Yeah, right up here.
Yes, sir.
So, I want to first say congratulations, amazing film. I love the ending, that's going to be my question. But I went to high school at Ramona High School. I graduated from there in '85. I was 15 years old there
when this happened
in 1982.
Yeah.
This is about as real as it gets. And for a lot of you here, you're thinking, how are they going through exams while bombs are going off? But that's life. It was 15 years of civil war. My dad graduated from there, my sister, my brother. Amazing.
Thank you.
I guess my question is, the ending was very powerful and kind of risky. So
And necessary.
And what?
And necessary.
And amazing. So can you maybe speak to her a little bit?
Absolutely. The ending somehow was very clear to me when I started writing. Like, I knew that the film needed to go there, because one of the hinge points that's very subtle in the film is it's the child's point of view, it's the imagination, and it's the liberation through the child's point of view. At the end of the day, me as an adult, Oualid, we're hopeless. I just believe that cinema offers us a canvas that liberates us a little bit. And I felt it was time to liberate the narrative, to go into Issam's imagination, to go into the hope. And as kids in Lebanon, we used to watch this Gona guy. He used this Japan anime TV series that was very, very, very popular called Grandizer. We were obsessed with it. And I used to draw different kinds of robots, and I didn't have the courage to sign the love notes with my name, so I would sign them with the robots. We'll talk about the love notes later. So I just felt that show is was very representative for me as kids, because it's about a planet and this robot, Grandizer, was the protector. And this is if only. I mean, in the Greek sense of the word, because the script is very Greek in its structure, in terms of like it's a deus ex machina ending. It's an ending that both works, because basically it's the kid's imagination touched his hand, he represents love for them, while at the same time for the viewer it's also liberating from the intensity of what we just experienced and makes us hope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, who else out there has any questions? Yeah, at the back of the third section there.
You were talking about the difficulties of working with children.
Difficulties?
Or that you people don't work with children or animals. Did you have any trouble with the birds and the pigeons and the sheep? Do you have any
No, the birds magically took all their direction. We just put the camera there and the birds meandered. And we really didn't direct this bird or that bird to do anything. Literally, we just, I don't know, honestly. Even that formation at the beginning of the film with the birds coming in, which kind of almost echoes like images of invasions of airplanes coming in. That was not post, that was real.
Really? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
That's lucky.
Huh?
That's lucky.
We filmed it. We didn't film it through the trees.
Okay.
It's a comp, but like that formation, which I was dying to get,
Yeah.
we actually captured it.
You got a PA throwing rocks in the trees or something. Like, we got it.
No, but it was very, yeah. I mean, we did have birds a lot of the times where we had filament where we wanted them to stay put. Like when they're sitting on the windowsill, they were filamented down.
Sure.
So yeah. So yes.
Yeah, ma'am, in the very back. Yeah.
So what is the plan for the distribution for this film? Has it already been distributed globally, or?
Globally, not yet. We're having a very tough time selling certain territories, because what happened is this film premiered in 2019 in Toronto. We were supposed to go out into the world in 2020, and we got completely blindsided, of course, by COVID. And we were supposed, and then everybody said, okay, we need to let go of this film. But what was interesting about this film is somehow its festival life didn't end with COVID. As a matter of fact, it just kept going and going and going. And we were supposed to be in Cannes 2020 in the Écran Junior section, which is a very small sidebar that usually only selects films from the actual festival, and then only 2 from outside of the festival,
Okay.
oriented solely towards youth,
Okay.
the young audience.
Yeah.
And they wanted it, and that didn't happen, so that was a disappointment. But then 2021 came about, and they came back, and they asked for the film again because they found out we were distributing it in France.
Oh, okay.
And then we ended up winning that prize.
Right.
So, which was really nice. And that changed, that gave us the impetus to release theatrically in France, and then we went back in the US and we started re-releasing it in the US. It's been very tough to put the film out, so the fact that you guys are here is really a testament to the support of cinema, so thank you so much for that. But the film is still finding its way.
Did being Lebanon's entry for the 2020 Academy Awards help at all, or
Not
really?
Not really.
Yeah.
The problem is that strategically the film was rushed for the Academy Awards at that point, because we were straight out of Toronto, nobody knew about the film, and then suddenly the film was like, they're like, we're submitting this year. It's like, wait, but we don't have a distributor, we don't have XYZ. So unfortunately we lost that chance. I think if we even had a year later, we would have had a better chance at it.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's only now that the film is revealing itself,
Okay.
which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah.
Because I think this film needs to be seen in the theater
I agree.
and by an audience that, you know.
I mean, the sound design is absolutely outstanding in this film. It's so dialogue heavy and just a kind of a subtle emotional film, and then there are these bursts of just like, Jesus, you know, like this is my first time seeing it as well, actually, for a little bit of context. So I came into this a bit blind, and hearing the planes go by, I think around the beginning of the third act, I mean, I was startled.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the sound design since you brought it up. So the sound designer on this film is Rana Aid. My sound mixer is in LA, sound designer is in Lebanon.
Okay.
When I wrote this film, the sound was written in the film, into the script. Every sound cue was written into the script, and every reaction to the sound was written into the script, so we filmed for that. But there is no antagonist in the script. The antagonist is the sound, so that we need to treat sound as if it was a character that creates the reactions and all of that. So a script is not just dialogue, the script is also the sonic landscape of this film. I went to Rana Aid, who is an incredible sound designer. You've probably seen some films she's sound designed. One of them was Honeyland as well. And she was under the bombs growing up. I was on this side of where the school is. And we worked very closely, and she knew, I'm like, this is the character you're building. We're not just like doing sound design. This is a character.
Yeah.
This is a persona. And so she built that persona, and we worked on it together, bringing her experience to literally being under the bombs.
That's amazing.
And my experience to hearing them from a distance, because we felt that for us to arrive at the emotional uniformity in this movie, to reach not only one side or the other of the Lebanese people, you need to make sure that you actually emotionally manage to be honest to the entire population, and that's what the sound is.
Any more out there? Yeah, right over here. Yeah, I'm not sure who it was.
What made you introduce a fantasy into a historical event?
What made me introduce
A fantasy, the
Tigrant? Oh, what made me introduce Tigrant? Because it's Wissam's imagination. It comes through the kid, and I think when I was a kid, at least, I used to draw a lot. And for me, even when there were issues going on, all we did was actually draw or play, or go into the video game world or into the TV world. So it's a little bit of an escape. So I felt like it was necessary to go into Wissam's imagination.
Yeah, I feel that's a pretty universal idea too. I mean, we've seen it filmed in various ways before. Certainly the Florida Project. And actually, what came to mind was Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys, which that's a big element in that movie. That's throughout it. But I mean, we all did that, I think, on some level. At least people who go to cinema. You know, we had a certain kind of childhood, and that was
It's a blank canvas too.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you can take like every film, I think, in my opinion, kind of is allowed the liberty, like a place where you can go, where you can actually take your viewer and your audience to a certain point, and then take them into an emotional space that is beyond expression somehow, except visually and emotionally. And I felt that this is what.
Yeah, I mean, I really was impressed at the beginning when it was really subtle in the sky. You know, that subtle animation as he's drawing for his project that he needs to turn in. So it's a great lead into that for a very powerful ending. You're absolutely right, it was necessary. That was the way to end the movie.
Thank you.
So.
Yes.
All right, some more out here. How about over here, sir?
I would like to thank you for making such a wonderful movie, and for you sharing your heart with us. We really appreciate that, and you telling the story of Lebanon, and for walking us as an audience through the tightrope so skillfully, on balance, through the tightrope from the politics on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I wanted to make sure that I made a film that spoke to the human being, not to the fighter in a war.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important because in wars we tend to forget that there's people, and this is a film about the people, no matter what war you're in. This is a film about what people go through.
Yeah, and a whole spectrum as well. I mean, it's obviously very kid-centric,
Yeah.
but even the middle-aged man with the radio,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and not. I really appreciated that. There was that every kind of person that
We see and we know.
We know
In every war, in every culture, in every it's like this was a very polemic time for us. It's a very eventful moment in our history, but then every country has its eventful moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to. I was 16 when September 11th happened, and whatever happened to that, I remember my father being super concerned because I was of age that I could be drafted.
Yeah.
And I saw that in these characters, you know, and that's the universal element that I mean.
Yeah, correct, 100%.
That there's that humanity to that. So yeah, excellent. Yes, ma'am, up here.
Yeah, so where does it go from here, the film?
The film, we open next week in Washington, D.C. It's and then we're also opening, thank you. Yeah, it's exciting because it's been really difficult to get Washington locked in, and then we're keeping on going. Follow us on our websites and everything. But we're in Cleveland, we're in Washington, D.C., we're going to San Diego, we're going to Boston. I'm working on Nashville, I'm working on Atlanta. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone in Texas that's even watched the film to program it, so we can't get them to watch. Yeah, we can't.
That's strange. There's so many great theaters out there.
I mean,
Texas has its political problems, but they have great cinema out
We
there.
have not had any love from any theater in Texas, so
Crazy.
I'm dying to get it to Texas. And there's a lot of people who are asking us for it, but I'm like, I don't know. And we're working with some incredible support. I mean, I have a very small core team that we're like a team of 3 people trying to get the film out into this country. And so far, we've been in about 30 markets. 30 cities, but the problem is we want word of mouth. We want people to follow and ask for the film.
You're kind of distributing it yourself.
Yes, I'm distributing it. I'm working with a really wonderful booker who's helping me, and then I've got Shadi as well who's helping me. Like different people who really believe in the film in all parts of the country are trying to help us get the word out. And this is completely grassroots. We don't really have the marketing budget of normal films, so we're really trying to show the film. If people love the film, to share about the film, have people look out for the film, rate the film, so that we can get a better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the website, and is there anything else we can do besides go on social media and promote your film?
Tell people, call friends, find out where it's playing. I mean, the website's 1982thefilm.com, and then we're on social media as 1982 Movie, and I could be followed easily on social media, on all of them, Twitter, etc., etc. We try to be as efficient as possible, but we're a very small team, so.
Yeah, I mean, this movie's playing here all week, so.
Yes, it is playing here all
Tell
week.
all of your friends and tell them to come to this theater to come see it while we have it, because.
And then if you know people in other cities and they want it, they should ask their theaters for it, because it's really hard. We're competing with a lot of bigger films. We're competing with a lot of bigger distributors, and people don't know who I am, so people don't know the film because it's, So the key is like they just have to give it time of day and sit down and watch the film and make a decision if they want to program it or not.
Sure.
That's the toughest part.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, the very back. No, that's Alan Parsons' project. No, I mean, I did use my music contacts because I've done a lot of music work, but no, I mean, I sent him what I wanted. I sent him the film. I sent him it wasn't finished at the time, and he approved the usage. And no, I mean, he just, yeah. I was told it's impossible to get, but I'm the type of person who believes nothing's impossible if you really work at it. Sure.
Yes. Any more questions? Anybody? Yes.
The filming location, is that London?
Yes, that is actually the school I went to. It's my school. Yeah, it's called Burman High School. Lebanon has a lot of. Lebanon is a very narrow country. If you've seen the map, it's basically a narrow strip with a tongue that's actually Beirut that kind of goes out into the sea, and then it's mountains. And there's a lot of these beautiful schools that overlook the ocean and the city and the sea and the seafront. Yes.
Thank you for being here and speaking to the film because it adds a whole other layer to the, dynamic intensity of it. This makes it that much more special. So thank you for.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for having us here. This is a pleasure and an honor to be here and sharing this. Yes. Do you guys have any questions?
Do you have any questions?
No.
I just enjoyed it. It was great.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I like how you really captured like the nervousness of like an elementary school student confessing his love to like a girl.
Do you feel that was truthful?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, because I was really afraid that how that would ring. I'm an adult at the end of the day, so you're still in it, so you can tell me if I've done it right or not. So thank you for that.
You did amazing.
Thank you.
Well, we are starting to dwindle down. We need to clear the theater relatively soon. I'm curious, I know that this is your first feature.
Right.
What's next? Are you going back to the music world? Are you working on anything else?
Everything. I still work in the music world. After I finished this feature, a year and a half ago, I did a Gaga video, 911, which was. And then now I've got a couple of music projects, but the most important is I'm also working on a new feature, and it's with Frank Marshall, Kennedy Marshall's producing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
It's
a
an
big deal.
adaptation. It's an adaptation of a very controversial, powerful book by Safia Azadine. She's a Moroccan French author.
Okay.
And so I'm in the midst of adapting that right now.
That's awesome.
So
Congratulations.
that's my next film.
I wish you the best with that.
Thank you. That's dangerous.
For sure. I hear Kathleen Kennedy's a little tough.
I'm working with Frank.
Okay, good.
Frank and Ashley Sandberg. So,
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's what's next. So.
All right. Great.
So.
Well, no, please.
Oh.
Anybody else have any questions before we wrap it up?
Did you? I had the feeling in the process when moving out.
Anybody ask when filming date started? When he was filming.
When did we film? 4 years ago.
That was. It's very interesting because a couple of people have mentioned that. That was not the idea. It was just like. It's kind of a nod. It's a little bit of a cultural nod because that tune is very, very, very. It's a Noel. It's a very specific tune for Lebanon, and I wanted it to be shut down. It's almost like, I mean, everything sort of semiotically it has this other feeling, but yes, there is the tension there. At that point, there's enough tension that you think that. And yes, and one of the interesting things about the film is I'm sure all of you guys were wondering if anything is. We're watching the film with a very high level of tension to see if anything is going to happen to the kids, right, or to the school. And at the end, when Tigrant comes in, it's almost like a sigh of relief, right? It's a liberating feeling. If you watch this film a second time, you will literally experience a different layer of this narrative, and knowing that nothing's going to happen to the kids, you will see layers that you weren't able to see the first time because of the level of tension. So anyway, that's.
All right. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate you coming out. Hopefully, we'll see you back with your next feature.
Hopefully.
In a couple of years.
So, guys, thank you so much for coming out. And please, we cannot stress enough. If you love the film, if you like the film, or if you don't like the film, rate us, talk about us. This is a film that had a very tough time coming into the world, and a lot of people told us that nobody wants to see this film in a theater. And I refused to take that for an answer, so we decided to basically proceed and put this film out. So if you like it, please share it, talk about it to your friends in this state and in other states, and have them ask their cinemas for it. Follow us, and look out for other cities that we're coming to. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lindsay.
All right, thank you all for coming out. Would ask if you want to chat or anything, just move it outside because we have to flip the theater for the next